The Senate will please come to order. We are returning from a recess and have some work left. The senator from Windham is recognized.
Madam President, this time I ask that the rules be suspended and pending entry on the notice of calendar action. We take up 738, an act relating to technical and administrative changes to Vermont's tax law.
The senator from Windham has moved that the rules be suspended and pending entry on the calendar for notice. H 738, an act relating to technical and administrative changes to Vermont's tax laws, be taken up for immediate consideration. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and you've suspended the rules and will now take up H 730 for immediate consideration. We have now for immediate consideration H 738, an act relating to technical administrative changes to Vermont tax laws. The House does have a proposal of amendment to the Senate proposal of amendment, and the Washington, Senator Cummings is recognized for the report.
Thank you, Madam President. And I think it'll be one time this year to hear from me. The House passed out 738, sent it back to us for the amendment just as we were finishing the floor for the during recess. I was given this little note, and this is what they did. And I saw two sections deleted, and then I saw changes under the grant-funded broadband network assets. And this was wording. This was what happens to the assets of the CUD if they default on a loan, if they go bankrupt. And the original law had them coming to the state. The bond bank said, no, if we're loaning you money, we need to have on the assets. And there was a concern that we didn't want to have, we wanted the state to have some option, some timing to be able to perhaps buy back some of those assets and take action. So we had put wording in there to that effect, and it put a 180-day delay before any assets could be transferred. But when we got down to committee, what we found out is the section 6 and 7 that were deleted were up the federal income tax and the federal estate tax, and those had been moved to H53, S53, the corporate income tax, because there was some concern on the part of the other body that this might not make it, or it might not make it. I don't know. But, so those were deleted because they are in another bill. And then it turns out they did not delete our wording. They left our wording in place and then added wording that would have the Community Broadband Board report to all relevant committees. If the grantees materially fail to comply with these conditions, we basically want them to study. We took out that wording that said that the assets would revert to the state. So they're asking the broadband board to come back and report what that means, what kind of risk we're taking, and if anything else should be added to practice in the language. And then we had a notification that any CUD that was in danger of defaulting on a loan had to let the board know immediately. They are making monthly, quarterly payments, not payments, reports to the board. So we've got a good handle on how they're doing. But this would be, rather than in danger of defaulting, they changed it to risk of financial insolvency. And rather than have reports coming back to committees in this building, they had it come back to the governor, the treasurer, and the Joint Fiscal Committee, which are the people and groups that would have to act if there was an emergency and there was about to be a default. So we took a look and we voted 7-1 and would ask this body to concur.
The question is,
7 members on the committee.
just to confirm the voting committee. You said 7-1.
No, 7-0-0.
7-0. Thank you. The question is, shall the Senate concur with the House proposal of amendment to the Senate proposal of amendment on H 738? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you concur with the House proposal of amendment to the Senate proposal of amendment on H 738. Senator from Wyndham is recognized.
This time, Madam President, I'd like to take up H 740. Bill?
We have on the calendar a report from the Committee of Conference, which is appointed to resolve differences between the two bodies on H 740, an act relating to making appropriations for the support of government. The underlying question is, shall the Senate accept and adopt the report proposed by the Committee of Conference on H 740? And the senator from Caledonia, Senator Kitchell, is recognized for the report, which I believe is found on the calendar in the addendum.
Thank you, Madam President. I believe that there was also a one-page addendum.
That's in the calendar.
We discovered that some language inadvertently was not included.
I don't know this. On 5676, addendum to the report of the Committee of Conference. I believe is that the addendum that we're looking for? Right.
Thank you. This is sort of the end of the session, and I'm sure all of you would be hoping that I would be giving a section by section. But you certainly want to be sure that there's nothing in here that would take you by surprise. But I also know that we've provided information in the past and know how most of us function. Having something that distills over 100 pages of material is helpful. So in the past, when I did the presentation at the all-member caucus, provided a number of documents. First of all, there is the web report that tracks the money and the differences from what was proposed by the governor, what the House did, what the Senate did, and ultimately what the Committee of Conference agreed upon. Probably the document that is of greatest utility is this one-page summary of the highlights of the budget itself. There's also, and these documents may be helpful because oftentimes people will say, did this get included, or what about this? So there is another document that was provided, and that is the one-time general fund appropriations. And with all the federal money, there is a sheet that summarizes the ARPA, and it's helpful because it also tracks prior appropriation in terms of how the ARPA money has been appropriated. This budget really is appropriating all the available money to the state, and those dollars have to be spent by the end of 2026. There's one page which is at a glance, and then of course there is, if you're looking for some non-medical soporific material, you can read the addendum itself. As you know, the revenues have continued to come in strong, and in the January forecast, the revenues for fiscal 22 were upgraded by 86 million. Subsequent to that, we have seen strong revenues coming in, and our estimate is that we're going to see revenues in 2022 at as much as 160 million. So in anticipation of those dollars, although there has not been an official revenue upgrade in the forecast, you will note that on the back of the one-pager is how those are contingent appropriations. So they are only going to happen if, in fact, the money materializes. But there's nearly $160 million that is reflected, and it gives you some sense of how we are using those additional dollars. I would mention that in the budget adjustment, we had already appropriated some of the dollars. We found only one got moved to general fund to free up some ARPA, and that was the childcare, the $6 million for childcare. So in terms of changes from what we passed in the Senate to what we ended up here in the Committee of Conference, I guess I would have to say the changes are really very, very small in terms of where the one times the food security plan, we had not funded that in the Committee of Conference. We did. There was also under substance use disorder, there was $150,000 appropriated for the Chittenden County treatment, and it's really to deal with juveniles who are coming out of justice system. And there was the $50,000 for the Windsor property in terms of what should be done with that property. Originally, the institutions committee wanted to fund it out of not permissible. So what we ended up with is really an opportunity to do some additional funding. We were fortunate in the fact that the Senate built a budget with more revenues because our Finance Committee came up with a different tax bill, which allowed us to really significantly address areas of spending or where, in fact, there had been no increases. And areas would be, for example, our recovery centers, that provide very important treatment and support, not treatment, but support, peer support for our Vermonters who are struggling with addiction and struggling to stay clean and sober. The one, I guess I would say that what we were able to do with the contingent funding, and that is we actually, in the budget, the Senate had created the capital expenditure cash fund. The House agreed with the creation of that fund, and with the contingent money that we anticipate will be coming, we allocated $25 million to actually capitalize that fund. The other areas would be, we had $15 million. We have had a very significant amount of federal dollars coming in to assist renters, and we had a clawback of some of those dollars. So anticipating a shorter period of time, we have those dollars available. We have provided $15 million in contingent funding to help DCF, which is Department of Children and Families, with transitional housing needs as a result of having fewer federal dollars. The other area, and that's dispatch. The only change there was not in the money, but was to have the plan come back to the Joint Fiscal Committee for approval. A major piece of addition in the budget was the Pay Act for state employees. That sometimes happens when there's not a separate bill. It just gets folded into the budget itself, and that's what happened. And then we were able to move more money for water quality. And there was a concern expressed, or a desire to have more money to help income eligible Vermont households with failed or about to fail water systems and or wastewater systems. So that was increased to $15 million, plus there was money for the mobile homes as well. So I think in the end, we were able to address housing, we were able to deal with workforce, this budget combined with the funding that was included in S11, I think is a very significant investment in our communities and workforce. We were able, because of the additional revenues anticipated, to move some expenditures, as you will see, into general fund. That freed up the ARPA, and we were able to add another $30 million to help, and you will see that on the list, to help with the community, distressed community and revitalization. And pardon me, but at this hour, I've forgotten the total, the correct title. But that was something that we thought was very important. It was a way of helping our communities. It was a way of improving downtowns, improving the grand list, which benefits the education fund. And so that was a major addition, and we believe, and we would hope that would significantly satisfy the administration's desire to use the ARPA money and at the level that was requested. So with that, I would say that this is really the Committee of Conference report that I reviewed in the all-member caucus, and we believe it's a very balanced bill in terms of what it does, how the funding is allocated, how we have addressed the needs of the most vulnerable Vermonters, how we have addressed the important role of the agencies who serve so many of our citizens, including seniors, people with disabilities, or people who are struggling with substance use disorders. So I would say that I believe that we ended up the year in a very good place. It was because of the work that we did with the Finance Committee and the revenues that we had available in the end. And I would ask that the body support this committee of conference report. Thank you.
The question is, shall the Senate accept and adopt the report proposed by the Committee of Conference on H 740? Are you ready for the question?
Madam President, can I inquire of the reporter of the bill?
You may.
Madam President, is the budget balanced?
Someone has suggested we're off 31 cents. I can assure you this budget is balanced financially, and I think from a policy and a priority perspective, it is also balanced. Thank you.
The question is, shall the Senate accept and adopt the report proposed by the Committee of Conference on H 740? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor?
Roll call.
The senator from Caledonia has requested a roll call vote on H 740, accepting and adopting the report. The secretary is kindly asked to call the roll.
Senator Ballant.
Yes.
Senator Baru.
Yes.
Senator Benning.
Yes.
Senator Bray.
Yes.
Senator Brock.
Yes.
Senator Campion.
Yes.
Senator Chittenden.
Aye.
Senator Clarkson.
Yes.
Senator Collmore.
Yes.
Senator Cummings.
Yes.
Senator Hardy.
Yes.
Senator Hooker.
Yes.
Senator Ingalls.
Yes.
Senator Kitchell.
Yes.
Senator Lyons.
Yes.
Senator McDonald.
Yes.
Senator Mazza.
Yes.
Senator McCormack.
Yes.
Senator Nitka.
Yes.
Senator Parent.
Yes.
Senator Pearson.
Yes.
Senator Perschlick.
Yes.
Senator Polina.
Yes.
Senator Ron Hinsdale.
Yes.
Senator Sears.
Yes.
Senator Sorotkin.
Yes.
Senator Starr.
Yes.
Senator Terenzini.
Yes.
Senator Westman.
Yes.
Senator White.
Yes.
I don't know. Please listen to the results of your vote. The yeas 30, the nays 0, and you've accepted and adopted the report by the Committee of Conference on H 740. The senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Madam President, at this time, I ask that the rules be suspended and that we message our actions on H 740, an act relating to making appropriations for the support of government, and H 738, an act relating to technical and administrative changes to Vermont's tax laws, the message to the House with.
The senator from Wyndham has moved that the rules be suspended, and H 740, as well as H 738, be message to the House forthwith. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you suspended the rules and message H 740 and H 738 to the House forthwith. The senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Madam President, I move that pursuant to Joint Rule 15, that all bills that have passed both houses be ordered to the governor.
The senator from Wyndham has moved that pursuant to Joint Rule 15, all bills that have passed both houses now be ordered to the governor. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
No.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. And pursuant to Joint Rule 15, all bills that have passed both houses are now ordered to governor. Senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I believe we have a few more confirmations to do.
Thank you, Madam President. We now have 4 more confirmations to do, and I believe that I reported these confirmations that hadn't made it to the calendar last time. Maybe a little bit of the blame on the administrative offices. However, some of these went to committees just long ago, February 3rd, so I will not blame the governor's office. So I would move that we suspend the rules to take up for confirmation as a group without debate. Debbie Winters from Swanton, Vermont Municipal Bond Bank, Linda Sarnowski, Weston Board of Libraries, Keller Montpelier for the Vermont State Colleges Board of Trustees, and Thomas Frank from Milton for the Board of Libraries. Thank you, Madam President.
The senator from Wyndham has moved that the rules be suspended and the following appointments be confirmed by the Senate. Debbie Winters as member of the Vermont Municipal Bond Bank, Susan Zeller as trustee of the Vermont State Colleges Board of Trustees, Linda Sarnowski as member of the Board of Libraries, and Thomas Frank as member of the Board of Libraries. Are you ready for the question? The senator from Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you've suspended the rules and appointed Debbie Winters and confirmed the appointment of Debbie Winters as member of the Vermont Municipal Bond Bank, Susan Zeller as trustee of the Vermont State Colleges Board of Trustees, Linda Sarnowski as member of the Board of Libraries, and finally, Thomas Frank as member of the board. We do now have a resolution to take up. JRS 54. Joint resolution relating to final adjournment of the General Assembly in 2022. Please listen to a reading of the resolution.
JRS 54, joint resolution relating to final adjournment of the General Assembly in 2022. Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House adjourn their respective houses sine die on the 12th day on the 12th or 13th day of May 2022.
You've heard a reading of the resolution. The question is, shall the Senate adopt the resolution? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you've adopted JRS 54.
That's quite a message. I don't.
I think we may need a message on that one.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate direct the Secretary to inform the House.
Oh, I believe we need a.
You have to message that first. At this time, Madam President, I ask that we message our actions on JRS 54, joint resolution relating to final adjournment of the General Assembly in 2022 to the House forthwith.
The senator from Wyndham has moved the rule be suspended, and JRS 54, the joint resolution relating to final adjournment of the General Assembly in 2022, be messaged to the House forthwith. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you've suspended the rules and messaged JRS 54 to the House forthwith. Senator from Wyndham is now recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate direct the Secretary to inform the House that the Senate has completed the business of the session and is ready to adjourn in ADA pursuant to the provisions of JRS 54.
The senator from Wyndham has moved that the Senate direct the Secretary to inform the House that the Senate has completed the business of the session and is ready to adjourn sine IDA pursuant to provisions JRS 54. Senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I believe now is the time for the Lieutenant Governor to give her remarks.
I would be happy to give the Madam President, your Madam President would be happy to give some brief remarks, but we're going to vote on this first. You are going to vote on this first. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Directed the Secretary to inform the House that the Senate has completed the business of the session and is ready to adjourn sine IDA pursuant to provisions JRS 54. And the Senate will now stand at ease while the message to the House is delivered.
So by way of explanation, Madam President, there's been a request from some members of the Senate for us to do this speech from the Lieutenant Governor and Governor first, because we have so many senators who are leaving. We wanted to have some time together as a Senate and not to keep the governor waiting. We're trying to figure out how long that would take. So it's a little bit out of order, but the Senate Secretary assures me that it's all on the up and up. So we will hear from the Lieutenant Governor. I will then appoint people to escort the governor, and he will come and give his remarks, and we will give our speeches from Majority Leader, Minority Leader, and so forth. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. I'm going to take my mask off just so I can breathe. Good evening. Here we are. We've arrived at the moment, the last planned convening of this Senate chamber and the end of the legislative session. I know for many, myself included, this moment also marks the near end, if not the end, of our formal time together in the Senate chamber. And for that reason, this moment is bitter, and perhaps more bitter in some ways than it is sweet. I want to take a moment to briefly go back to the beginning of this biennium. Should we take a moment of silence? No. I do want to recall that many of you, I think all of us, started a day after the January 6th insurrection, an attack on the US Capitol. And for so many of us, that meant challenges with safety and security, as well as the deep, deep necessity of the work of this body. I want to also recall that this biennium started near the height of the pandemic, and it wasn't clear whether this moment, being together in person in the chamber, was going to happen at all. We all face challenges in every part of our daily lives, from our jobs here or your jobs outside the building, to caring for loved ones, caring for ourselves. It hasn't been easy, that's for sure. Countless hours spent on Zoom, in committee meetings via Zoom, in Senate sessions via Zoom, and more senators kindly unmute than I care to repeat ever again. It wasn't easy, but all of you showed up for your constituents and Vermonters, even in the most challenging of times. It's been an honor to be part of that in some way as your Madam President. The day I was sworn in, I committed to you publicly to preside over this chamber with fairness, with compassion, predictability, and up until the last couple of days, timeliness. Well, I'm not sure, and especially after today's germaneness ruling, I have more friends than enemies, but I hope you feel as though, regardless of your political affiliation, you've been treated with respect and fairness. As you might imagine, I've spent a lot of time observing and listening. And I want to tell you just some of what I've heard and witnessed over the last two sessions. I've witnessed and heard a heartfelt debate and passage of a historic medical monitoring bill addressing and protecting the health of Vermonters, particularly those in Bennington County. The creation of Vermont's first ever statewide ethics code, a code that will help prevent conflicts of interest and preferential treatment, protect whistleblowers, and promote public trust in elected officials. I've heard and witnessed a compassionate debate and update to our medical aid in dying laws that will make the process more accessible for terminally ill Vermonters. Action that will expand access and coverage to desperately needed telehealth services across Vermont, as well as overdue investments in mental health and support services, especially for Vermont youth. Unified hard work and cooperative action by our Vermont state employees, teachers, legislators, and task force members in making compromises and achieving pension reform that will protect the retirement of state employees and teachers. I've heard and witnessed critical steps to protect the reproductive autonomy of every Vermonter through the passage of Proposition 5, now set for voters in November. I've heard and witnessed an important compromise that extended the waiting periods for background checks for firearm purchases. I've heard and witnessed the passage of a historic transportation bill that includes unprecedented funding for electric vehicles and for a lot of roads and a lot of bridges and a lot of good infrastructure. The passage of Vermont's first ever environmental justice bill, deeply necessary to equitable participation in climate action and protection from environmental harms. The passage of perhaps the largest investment in workforce development in Vermont's history. And of course, a lot about the budget. I think we could talk about the budget without a small nod, perhaps a big nod to our congressional delegation for their tremendous amount of support, a lot of good money to be able to work with this session. And I know there's a lot of work left to be done, but I want to reflect on one other thing that I've witnessed and heard, and that is that I think the best of our democracy is in this room. And that regardless of your political affiliation or your personal beliefs, I've witnessed a lot of integrity and a lot of deep respect for each other. And the sharing of ideas and candor and kindness, compassion, civility. I think if the rest of this nation looked a lot more like Vermont, we'd be in a different place. So for that, it's been such an honor to be up here and to be able to listen and witness and to be part of the process. But I want to close with some recognition. This has not been a normal session, a legislative session. You all know that. I don't know what is normal. I think this is the best normal. But the technology and all of the support that went into making our digital democracy possible, I just want to thank all of the IT people and maybe ask you to join me in a round of applause for them. Janet Miller, Sid, is Sid here? Sid's downstairs. Donna, also the Senate doorman, Michael, Cornelius, Dennis, Brett, Joe, and Wilson, for all of your support in helping the communications of this chamber run smoothly. To thank the Capitol Police for keeping watch during this really challenging time. A special thank you to the Secretary of the Senate's office, Steve, Marshall, Helen, and Penny Carpenter. And I don't know where we would be without Vanessa and John. I just want to personally thank them for their mentorship, for their friendship, and for being there every step of the way. My chief of staff, I don't know if Carolyn is here. Carolyn is here. Chiefs of staff, both, it's a funny title in this building, chief of staff, with no staff and much work. So thank you, Andrew. I would not be ready each day without Andrew. That is without question. And I know or suspect the pro tem feels the same way. I want to thank the pro tem. It was a long journey here, just the two of us for a while. And growing up on the farm, the saying was, teamwork makes the dream work. And I think that's true for the Senate. And it's been wonderful to be on your team and be part of a team and to be making the Senate work together. I want to close by thanking all of you. It's been such an honor. And while my time as your Madam President, I believe it's done, or will be done quite soon, my time as your Lieutenant Governor is not done. And I look forward to seeing you around the state. I look forward to getting out and visiting you. I look forward to all we might do in the weeks and months ahead. And lastly, I just want to recognize and thank the people of Vermont. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to serve as your Lieutenant Governor. So thank you and congratulations to you all. Believe. The senator from Windham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate, I move that the President appoint a committee of 4 senators to inform the governor that the Senate has completed the business of the session and is ready to adjourn sine die pursuant to the provisions of JRS 54.
The senator from Windham has moved that the President appoint a committee of 4 senators to inform the governor that the Senate has completed the business of the session and is ready to adjourn sine die pursuant to the provisions of JRS 4. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And pursuant to JRS 54, the following senators are appointed to inform the governor that the Senate has completed the business of the session and is ready to adjourn. Senator Hooker, Senator Brock, Senator Nitka, and Senator Pearson. And the Senate will stand at ease while the committee goes. Welcome and escort the governor into the chamber. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Philip B. Scott.
Good afternoon. Been a while since I've been here. Hasn't changed a whole lot. Although John's hair has gotten a little bit longer. Madam President, Pro Tem Ballant, Majority Leader Clarkson, Minority Leader Brock, and members of the Senate. It's great to be here with many of my former colleagues, friends, and possibly even Vermont's next Congresswoman, or several other statewide office holders for that matter. Who knows where the future is going to bring us. I realize this has been an extremely difficult biennium for Vermonters and legislators alike. But it is one where we made truly historic investments in shared priorities, including housing, water, sewer, storm, and traditional infrastructure, broadband, and combating climate change. In January, I shared my optimism for the opportunity we were presented thanks to billions of dollars in federal aid and unprecedented state surpluses. I talked about the potential to combine good ideas, thoughtful legislation, and historic financial resources to put our state on a path to a brighter and better future. And while it was far from easy, and we had a few pointed policy debates on some big issues along the way, I'm proud of what we achieved this session, and I hope you are as well. One takeaway from the last 2 years, and I think Senator Kitchell might agree, is that in some ways, it's actually harder when you have more money than when you don't have enough. But to be clear, I'd rather have the surpluses than the deficit. Just think about this. After years of debating how to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and sometimes millions, for programs and new initiatives, we've invested billions this session on transformative projects that will put Vermont on a new trajectory. Because of our work, communities will get the infrastructure they need to bring in more jobs and housing, and families can replace water and sewer systems that have been unusable. We'll finally fulfill the promise of broadband that governors and legislators have struggled with for decades. Over $1 billion for housing on top of our significant investments 3 years ago. We can hopefully turn the corner on the tremendous shortage of decent, affordable homes we face today. We worked to make our state more inclusive, standing up for transgender rights, and to better protect all citizens from threats to their safety. Importantly, we all stood together unanimously to protect democracy by passing a bill in a matter of days to provide over $600,000 to help the people of Ukraine. That says a lot about who we are and the values we share, regardless of party. I also want to take a moment to thank those who aren't running again for your service to Vermont. I've had the honor of serving with and learning from many of you over my years in the Senate. We'll have more to say about your contributions individually in the weeks and months ahead. But I want you to know how fortunate Vermonters have been to have you there, protecting them, contributing in your own ways. You know as well as I do, public service isn't easy. In fact, just putting yourself out there is tough enough. So thanks for all you've done here in this building, and what I'm sure you'll continue to do in your own communities in the future. As I've said, you can walk away knowing what a significant impact you made for Vermont, especially over the last 2 years. And that goes for those who were staying on and running for reelection. I know at the end of the session, most of the attention is in the areas of disagreement. But that really overshadows the things we do that have cross-party support, like the T-bill, which I understand passed unanimously again this year. And it was in record time, as I heard, which Senator Mazza tells me every single year. It took work to build consensus on some of these issues, find compromise with others, and let the process take its course in the areas where we couldn't find agreement. And we showed that even when we disagree, we can be respectful and civil, something not every state government can say, and definitely can't be said at the federal level. My hope is that we'll be an example for others and show that putting politics aside is the best way to give the people the results they deserve. And that's just what we did. With an $8 billion budget, we've made investments that will move us further towards a Vermont that can keep and create good jobs, build affordable homes, and support communities across the state. A state where all kids are getting the best education, whether they go to the largest school or the smallest, where families keep more of what they earn, and where we get closer to having a healthy and vibrant economy in all 14 counties, so we can protect the vulnerable and invest in the things we care about most. That's the vision I outlined in January, and we took some big steps towards reaching it this year. So again, thank you all for all you've done. And I hope you have a very safe and enjoyable summer, and look forward to seeing you along the way. So thank you very much for having me.
Our escorts. I do believe now other remarks are welcome, and if the pro tem would like to take the podium.
I believe we will hear from the minority leader when he returns.
Okay. The Senate will stand in recess until the call of the gavel. Senate will please come to order. It's now my pleasure to recognize the senator from Franklin, the minority leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Madam President. We've heard a lot from people who have referred to this as a bittersweet moment, and so I won't say that. We all remember, for example, many of us at least, Representative Cola Hudson from the House, and I think he said it best for remarks of the kind that I'm about to make. Everything that needs to be said has been said, but not everybody has said it. I won't repeat everything because I listened to what the Lieutenant Governor said, I listened to what the Governor said, and they thanked a lot of really great people who support us, ranging from everyone from the Capitol Police to Legislative Council to the Joint Fiscal Office to the people who work at the cafeteria. And she was very good because I checked off the list. Did she touch everyone? I think she did. And those folks have my thanks as well, as do all of you. I know that some of you will not be here in the succeeding term. I hope I will be. The only reason that I won't be, I think, is because of health reasons. In other words, if the voters get sick of me. But beyond that, there is a tradition in the Senate that when you leave and when you serve, you engrave your name on the inside of your desk. And we'll look back, even for those of you who leave, those desks will be opened by someone else, your successor. And so part of you will remain here regardless, as will your successor and their successors. The continuity of what goes on in this chamber is so important, as is the institutional memory that we get as a result. I want to thank each and every one of you, particularly for this most recent biennium, which we might want to call the COVID biennium. It was unique in so many ways. We also showed that regardless of that kind of adversity, the Senate could work together, it could work cohesively, and could work cooperatively. And even though we may disagree in a lot of areas, we certainly have learned to do so without being disagreeable. And that is a critical thing, and that is the thing for which I am most grateful for having served with each and every one of you. So to that, I thank you very, very much. I look forward to the future of those who remain, and I hope to be one of you. And for those of you who depart, don't be a stranger. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator from Windsor, the majority leader is recognized.
What a biennium. Whoa. Done in the depths of COVID-19 pandemic and on Zoom. I applaud our new senators who never got a proper in-person introduction to our life together. No shared meals to help them understand how things worked. No hallway getting to yes moments. And saddest of all, no bloomer white decorum lesson. You're gonna have to run again, well, to get it. Well, and maybe we'll get her up to be an invited guest to help us give it. We like to talk about how resilient Vermonters are. Well, the last 2 years have tested our mettle, and we have been resilience personified. We managed to navigate 2 very productive legislative sessions, passing an extraordinary range of recovery relief and pandemic assistance, measures which helped Vermonters stay in their apartments and their homes, conduct meetings, vote, keep their businesses and their lives afloat, and helped us house the homeless. I am so proud of this body and of our legislature. For those concerned about the strength of our democracy, I would ask them to spend time in our Vermont legislature during a legislative session. In Vermont, we strengthen democracy with every bill we pass and in how we conduct our business together. 90% of our votes are done by consensus. That's extraordinary. I bet that is a national gold star. I am proud of our very functional legislature, where we work productively together to make progress on behalf of Vermonters. In this vein, I'd like to thank the minority leader and the assistant minority leader. I have the pleasure of serving with them both on committees and they have me covered morning, noon, and night. Morning, noon, afternoon, and sometimes in the evening. As Randy and I went to midnight the other night together. We agree more than we disagree, as Randy has already pointed out, and I appreciate you both enormously. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you to the Senate Democratic Caucus for trusting me to lead them. I've loved serving you. Thank you for your patience as I grew into my new role, and for your patience generally. And to my partner, the whip from Rutland. Thank you. You have been a tenacious vote counter and a source of such support and cheer, and I love your can-do spirit. And to our pro tem, thank you for your leadership. Serving with you both in committee and in leadership has been a joy. You have been a fierce advocate for the Senate. Becca, you lead with intelligence, integrity, compassion, and humor, always anchored in the values which have driven your public service. You are a treasure, and we shall miss you. Thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all summer as we campaign together, and thank you all.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to jump right here, and I know I've spoken a couple times, but I have to say this. So what seems like only a few years ago, and in some cases, many, many years ago, Senator Ballant took seat 17. And for those of you who know, 17 had both good memories and bad. When she sat down in there, I didn't know what to do with all the adrenaline that I felt every time I sat down in this seat. She was a great seatmate, and then I was very excited when she became pro tem, until I found out that that meant that 28 other people laid claim to her, and I thought less of her. She took over during what certainly had to be under the hardest conditions possible. She had to listen to us, guide 30 of us without ever being physically together. Some of us had never even met each other. Under these conditions, she led us to many good decisions, while mostly keeping us calm and focused. I won't torture you with the limerick I wrote for her, or I won't get sappy either. Instead, I just want to say, Becca, you did an amazing job, and here we all are thanking you. Thank you. Senator Fernando is recognized.
Thank you, Senator White. For days, I've been trying to write these remarks. And I am a writer, and I usually can sit down and I clear my head and I just write. And for days, I have stared at empty pages. this has been the greatest honor of my life, to serve in this chamber with all of you. I'm so inspired by the dedication that I've seen in the chairs in this chamber. Senator Cummings, Senator Benning, Senator Kitchell, Senator Mazza, Senator Lyons, Senator Sorokin, Senator Bray, Senator White, Senator Stock, and of course, Senator Sears is not here. And of course, our education chair. I don't have my glasses on.
How'd you miss him?
What I know is that you work so many more hours than people could ever imagine. Late into the night, early in the morning, over the weekends, trying to do right by your constituents and all Vermonters. And so I want to give voice to that because most people outside of this building don't realize what it takes to actually get to this place in the session. So I thank you most sincerely. And of course, Majority Leader, Majority Whip, the Minority Leader and the Minority Whip, the four of us have worked so well together. And we've been focused on doing good work for Vermonters and not letting the horrible, divisive politics from outside of this, this chamber interfere with our work. And that inspires me every day when I walk in here. And the Lieutenant Governor got me a little teary and she talked about the work that we've done together because we were, for a long time, really the only two people essentially working in here, along with the staff, of course, but the two electeds trying to do this work. And at the beginning of the session, let's name the elephant in the room. The senators have all been watching as three people in here are rivals outside of this chamber, but not rivals here. And the Lieutenant Governor and I, at the beginning of this session, we had a conversation here. And we said, we may be rivals outside, but in here we're allies. Because what matters is the work of the Senate, that we're gonna make sure that things run smoothly. And I am so grateful that we put that policy and the protocol before any of the politics. So I thank you most sincerely for that. And yes, we were isolated from each other for a big part of this biennium, and it has been a source of much sadness for me. And my poor chief of staff has had to hear me talk about how difficult it has been for me as someone who loves people, as someone who needs connection and interaction to try to do this job from a distance electronically. So the last 2 months have been incredible to have everybody back and all of the personalities and all of the scuttlebutt that happens. But that is the stuff, those moments, that's the stuff that I live for. I love those moments of interaction. And as I said, I do this work because I love people and I love all of you. And we have seen each other at our very best and our very worst. When we are fighting fiercely for policy and things don't go our way, when a vote falls short on the floor, when we thought that there was something in the budget and then we look at it and we realize we didn't quite get it there. But I know in the end that the grit and the determination and the love that you have for your constituents is what drove you in your work. And I want to say that I was really impressed by the list of accomplishments that the governor went through and the lieutenant governor and our minority leader and majority. And so I don't want to dwell too much on that, because you've heard it. But I do have to say that despite all of the logistical hardships of the work that we've done, we got a lot of good done for Vermonters. And I'm just going to name a few. But I know that you have dozens and dozens of other stories to tell to constituents about other bills that matter. We made huge housing investments. We made policy changes to help turn the tide. We protected the public pensions. That was some of the most important work that we did together. Important workforce development, important investments in all kinds of supports across the state that help our most vulnerable, from mental health supports to GA housing, making sure that those people that need us to have their backs, that we have their backs. And of course, $190 million in climate investments, the racial and social justice work that we've done. There's still so much more to do, but we've made some good strides on those fronts. From, of course, environmental justice, the Truth and Reconciliation Bill, efforts to advance equity across policy bills, the Bureau of Racial Justice Statistics. All of these things are difficult conversations that we've had that are long overdue, and long after I am here and the other senators who are moving on are here, I know that you're going to continue to do this work because you know how important it is. So I thank you for all of that work. And I often share bits of poetry with you. And in just a moment, I'm going to share some of my favorite poetry. But I have a couple particular thank yous that I need to make. One goes to my favorite dance partner, that would be Senator Dick Mazza from Grand Isle, the rapscallion who used to hide my phone and iPad when I wasn't looking and then feign ignorance about where it went. I want to thank our former majority leader, Phil Baruth, who saw leadership in me from the very first day that I walked into this building. And that gave me courage to follow my path, Phil. So thank you. And of course, John Bloomer, who keeps growing his hair out. Vanessa and Penny and Helen and all of the folks in this building that help us do our work. And as Randy said already, the senator from Franklin, there are so many people that should be thanked individually, and I know that we've heard many of those thank yous. But I just want to say what is obvious to all of you, that without the Joint Fiscal Office, without the attorneys, without the entire staff supporting us, the committee assistants, the sergeant of arms, the police officers, the staff that keeps the building clean, all the folks in the cafeteria that put up with our impatience, all of it, we couldn't do our work without them. And it's one of the reasons why I like to be one of the first people in the building every day, so I can walk around and have time to make eye contact and thank those people. So one of my favorite poets is Mary Oliver, and she's a Pulitzer Prize winning poet, and she wrote more than 20 volumes of verse. And I've often sought and found solace in her work. And Oliver has been likened to many of the greats: Walt Whitman, Emily Dickinson, Robert Frost. But as was noted in her New York Times obituary, she also became something of a bookish rock star in her later years. And hundreds, perhaps even thousands of Vermonters are captivated by the attention that she gives to detail. And that's what brought me back to what it was that I could say to you today, was thinking about the moments that are going to stay with me. Because trying to encapsulate what this has meant to me has been overwhelming. It's the moments that I've been thinking about. And some of my most precious moments have been early in the morning and into the evening with my chief of staff, Carolyn Wesley. We have sung more show tunes together than any two people should. She is beloved by senators, but also staff members throughout this building. I could not have done the work of Pro Tem without Carolyn, truly. And there were times when I might be losing my patience or focus. We would often come back to a line, which is one of our favorite lines of the musical Pippin, which is, rivers belong where they can ramble, eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free. I've got to find my corner of the sky. And that would bring us back, and she would boost me up and put me back out into the building to do my work. So it's these moments that I'm going to remember long after we're gone. And Mary Oliver offers us all permission, freeing permission to feel at once joyful and sorrowful. And that is what I feel right now. Joyful about all the work we've done together, and so sorrowful that it's coming to an end. She celebrates moments, heartbreaking, breathtaking moments of a cricket jumping in the grass or the wind through the trees. And these moments are pleas to all of us to give ourselves time to just be. Not to be busy, to just be. To sit with the loveliness, the heartbreaking, beautiful loveliness, and let ourselves be enchanted, even when we know that the moment is going to pass and that we are going to pass. As I said, it has been one of the greatest honors of my life to serve in this body and to be elected as your president pro tem. We have done our work with so much grit and courage and commitment, and with a deep and abiding respect and love for Vermonters. I thank you all for your service and for allowing me the opportunity to serve you. Thank you.
We need one last motion.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate do now adjourn sine die pursuant to the provisions of JRS 54.
The senator from Wyndham has moved the Senate do now adjourn sine die pursuant to the provisions of JRS 54. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the Senate now stands adjourned sine die pursuant to the provisions of JRS 54.